Hi, good day. My name is Ma'am Mabel, and I am here now to teach you regarding about the second lesson in our first quarter for grade 9 English, which is using conditionals in argument. So this conditional, I have here a picture, which is one of the famous topic we have as of the moment, wherein most of us Filipinos are learning by means of module. Okay, so actually, this kind of pictures are called memes nowadays, and I also put a dialogue on the matter that is shown on the picture. The dialogue said, if I finish answering this, I will wash the clothes. If we're going to understand the dialogue, she said, is she really going to wash the clothes right away? No, of course, but because she has a first condition that she needs to do, which is to answer the module first, okay? Which is still about the same topic. The mother talking to the children, and she said, if you answer your module, I will buy you an ice cream. So in this scenario, will the mother really buy the ice cream right away for the children? No, because there is a condition that the mother said to the children. She said that they need to answer the module first before they buy an ice cream. Or if we will have a counterpart of it in our Filipino language, in our grammar, ito yung mga tinatawag natin na mayroong kondisyon, 'di ba? Parang kung gusto mo ng bagong cellphone, hingi ka sa magulang, "Mama, gusto ko ng bagong cellphone." But then your parents or your mom will say, "Oh, mag-aral ka munang mabuti. Kung mag-aaral kang mabuti, bibigyan kita ng bagong cellphone." Okay? So there is a condition. Before you receive a new cellphone, there is a condition that your mom was given to you. And in English grammar, in order for us to express that we have condition, we use conditional sentences. So let's a conditional sentences or conditional statement in English grammar. These are the statements expressing the result of a particular condition. So just like, for example, the sentence, when my friends feel happy about me, I will buy them milk tea. Okay? So this is an example of a conditional sentence. It's because it expresses a result and a particular condition. So what is the particular condition or the event that first happened here? It is this clause. When my friends feel happy about me, so when they feel happy about you, or sa Tagalog, kapag ang aking mga kaibigan ay masaya sa akin, what will be the result? I will buy them a milk tea. Okay? So if a statement or a sentence is composed of a condition followed by a result, then you call that a conditional statement. Another, if Filipinos don't obey social distancing, they will be affected by COVID-19. So meaning to say, before you can be able to obtain this result, you have a condition that happened first. What is that condition? If you didn't obey social distancing, there will be a result, which is the infection of COVID-19. This kind of sentences that has a condition and a result is called conditionals. Continue. Conditionals are also have if clause or when clause. It present the condition while the main clause explain the result. So when we say condition in our language, in Filipino, conditiones or yun yung unang mangyayari muna bago magkaroon ng resulta or result. Halimbawa, let's us try to look at this. If I am busy, I won't come. When I am busy, I won't come. If you will notice, both of the sentence are using only the same words. Magkapareho lang naman ito. But then, I just wanted to give an impact regarding about um, the clauses wherein sometimes you can use if or sometimes you can use when. Okay? So, the if clause and the when clause are also known as conditionals in other references or the condition in the sentence. So, ito yung unang event na nangyari. And then, the I won't come in here is known as the main clause or the result. Meaning to say, hindi sila makakapunta. Why? What's the reason or what the condition? Because the speaker is busy. Okay? So, these are the two parts of a conditional statement. We have here another one. Conditional statements may appear in both affirmative and negative structure. So when we say negative structures, these are the statement or sentences that in negative form or those that use the not in the sentence, just like this one. This one came from the word will not. Okay, so this is the shortened word of will not. So if your sentence have not in here, therefore you called it in a negative structure. But then, if it didn't use will not, then you call that structure as affirmative or in a positive form. Let us try to analyze the sentence. If I am free, I will come. If you notice, these three sentences has the same thought. If I am busy, I won't come. So, if I am free, I will come. So, if you wanted to state your conditional in a negative form, you can use the first sentence. But if you wanted to express your conditionals in an affirmative or in a positive form, there's no need for you to use not. You can try to use this example. If I am free, I will come. Okay. So I have in here three sentences here, number 1, 2, and 3. And then let us try to analyze the parts of conditional sentences. A while ago, I told you that conditional sentences has main clause, or also known as the result, or the if clause, or also known as the condition. Just like we have an example in here. He will have an early memory loss. Yun po ang kanyang result. That's the result of what condition? If he will not stop drinking alcohol. Another tip for you to know where is the if clause and the main clause. If the clause starts with the word if or when, then that is your clue that this clause is an if clause. Okay? And most of the time they are separated by a comma. So the example in here is the answers in number 1 in here. So he will have an early memory loss. There must be a comma in here, signifying that the clause or that the statement is divided into two clauses. So this one is the result, and then if he will not stop drinking alcohol, that's the if clause. So let us try to have number 2. If you will avoid the gateway drugs, it lead your life to be safe. What do you think is the if clause and the main clause in here? Okay, so let us reveal. In number 2, the main clause is this one. It lead your life to be safe. It is the result. Why? Why it has been the result? It's because the if clause or the condition or the thing or the event that happened first is if you will avoid the gateway drugs. How did I know that? First, it starts with the if. That's my main clue in here. Okay? So if you will avoid the gateway drugs, what will be the result? It will lead or it lead your life to be safe. So let us find the if clause and the main clause in number 3. Okay, so in number 3, the if clause is if I let myself in early smoking, comma. So you need to stop in there. How will I know that I need to stop in there, ma'am? Try to analyze the next word. It says that it opened a chance. If you see, it started with the subject and then it has a verb, right? Followed by a verb. So that could also be your clue that you are encountering the second clause. So if I let myself in early smoking, it opened a chance not for the dangerous drugs. So, meaning to say, the if clause or the first condition that happened, if you will smoke at an early age, what will be the result? Possible that there will be a chance for drugs. Okay? So, I hope we know now the two parts of conditionals. Still continue analyzing conditionals. In a statement, conditionals may appear first before the main clause. If the main clause appears before conditional, the meaning of the sentence remains the same. Okay? So let us try to analyze the sentence in here. When you pray, God listens. God listens when you pray. What have you noticed with these two sentences? They are just the same. Very good. Okay? So, but then the structure has interchanged. So the when you pray, which is the beginning of the first sentence, became the last part of your sentence on the second number, right? Or in Filipino, itong when you pray as the beginning of the sentence becomes the second part of the clause here on the second sentence. But however, let us try to analyze, is the meaning still the same? Pareho pa rin ba ng thought? Is the thought is still the same? When you pray, God listens. Pag ikaw ay nagdasal, ang Diyos ay makikinig. Let's have number 2. Ang Diyos ay nakikinig kapag ikaw ay nagdarasal, right? So it has the same thought. So the conditionals, even though they have two parts, they can still interchange each other. Pwedeng mauna si if clause or if clause may appear at the beginning, or sometimes it can appear at the second or at the last. The same with the main clause. Main clause can appear at the beginning and can appear at the last, but still the meanings remain the same. It didn't change. Forget that our conditional sentences has four types. We have the zero, first, second, and third. For the meantime, for today, we will just tackle what's the meaning of conditional sentences, or how will you know if it's conditional sentences. And we're going to tackle the first two types, which is the zero conditional and the second and the first conditional. Let us tackle the first type, which is the zero conditional. Zero conditional deals with habits and general truths such as laws. It is formed using this structure. If or when clause is present simple tense, and the main clause or the result must have the present simple tense of the verb as well. Let us try to see the first sentence. If you place it in the fridge, water freezes. So our if clause or our when clause must be in the present simple tense of the verb. What is our verb in this sentence? Our verb in this sentence is place. So is place in the present simple tense of the verb? Yes. It's because present simple tense of the verb tell us when our verb is plural, like our verb in here, you, this is plural in form, we need to use a verb which is have without s or es, just like this one. You is plural, so the verb place don't have s and es. Or in the other way around, if your subject is singular, based on the present simple tense of the verb, you need to put s and es in your verb. Okay? Let us try to look at the main clause if it follow the present simple tense. So the water is our subject, and our subject is singular. It's only one. So therefore, our verb freeze will become freezes. So since in here it says water freezes, therefore, this sentence follow the structure of a zero conditional sentence. Now let us try to analyze if this sentence tells about habits, general truth, or about law. If you place it in the fridge, the water freezes. In this sentence, the thing that placed in the fridge is a water. We all know in our everyday life that when we place water in the cooler or in the fridge, in the refrigerator, the water will freeze. Therefore, that tells us that the statement give us a general truth, 100% reality. It is factual. So if that is the thought of your sentence, therefore your sentence is under zero conditional. Let us try to have the second sentence. When you pray, God listens. Let us see first if it follows the structure of zero conditional. We have here the if or the when clause. So it says that when clause need to be in the present simple tense. Our verb in here is pray. Is pray as a verb in present simple tense? Yes. It don't have an s. It's because our verb you is plural in form. And let us have our main clause. We have in here God listens. God in here is our subject, and our subject is singular in form because it don't have s. Therefore, is the verb in present simple tense? Yes, it is. It has s because our subject is singular in form. That is how we are going to do the zero conditional statement. It is another way for you to know or to remember how to make zero conditionals, or in some other references, it is also known as the present real conditionals. So always remember that in our if or when clause or conditional clause, our verb must be in simple present tense of the verb, wherein we are going to judge if we're going to add s or es or not. And then, of course, in our main clause or the result clause, we are also going to make our verb in a simple present tense of the verb. Okay? So as what you see in here, I have sentences such as, if babies cry, they are hungry. If the student comes, the teachers teach. And if you are going to analyze the sentences, it is it is general truth, right? If babies cries, it is an habit of a baby. Habit na ng mga baby na kaya na kapag umiiyak sila dahil sila ay gutom or kaya sila umiiyak sila kasi ay gutom. Okay? That is their habit. And of course, if there is student, the teacher will teach. Okay? So let us try to analyze if everything follow the simple present tense of the verb. So everything starts with if wala sa kanilang nag-interchange. But that is possible. As you remember in one of our slide, if they will interchange, for example, the if and when clause will come at the last part of the sentence, that's still okay because the meaning still remain. So now let us check the present tense of the verb. If babies cry, the babies in here is plural, like the snakes in here, it's plural, and I is plural in form as a pronoun. So our verb must not have an S. So we will just use cry. Or in here, it don't have verbs as the same with cry, we'll use are. And then in here, we will just use am. In here naman, it have different cases because it's followed by an adjective. So therefore, you need to use to signify that you are in a simple present tense of the verb. So let us try to look at naman if our subject is singular, kailangan may S ang ating verb. So in here, if the student is the subject, si student dito ay nag-iisa lang kasi wala siyang S at ES, dapat ang verb niya ay may S, comes. The eyes in here is singular kasi eyes lang siya. It's not ices, meaning eyes means a singular noun or a singular subject. So ang ating verb ay melts, may S. So dito naman, tingnan pa rin natin. So kapag plural like they, like teachers, they, yan. Yan ay mga plural. Paano natin nalaman? Because they sa Tagalog ay sila. So, marami tayong tinutukoy pag sila. And then, teachers with an S, ganun yung mga noun natin. If the noun has S, therefore they are plural. So, you need to use verb without S. Just like this. Teachers teach. Marami yung teachers, kaya ang verb mo walang S. They bite. And then, in here naman, you can use are to show that your verb is in plural form because ang iyong subject ay plural in form as well. Diba? So, however, if your subject is singular like it and father, they are singular because they don't have S. It only signifies that they are singular. Therefore, the verb must have an S. It becomes father takes. And usually, we talk this way, right? The son listens to their mother. Diba? Mother washes the clothes. We never say mothers washes, right? Mothers wash the clothes. The bakers bake, right? The teacher teaches, right? We cannot be able to say the teachers teachers. The teachers teaches, right? The students listens. No, we didn't talk that way. So always remember that if your subject is singular, like student, then your verb must have an S, listens. But if your subject is plural like students with an S, your verb must not have an S. Students, listen. I hope I'm clear with that. Have some review of the simple present tense of the verb um, pronoun. So when we say pronoun, sila yung humahalili o panghalip sa Pilipino. Sila yung humahalili sa mga nouns or pangalan. Like in English, like the use of he, she, it. When we use he, we are talking about one boy. She is one girl. It is one thing or an animal. And then if this is our subject, then we need to make our verb with S. Like he buys, she buys, it thinks, he comes, she eats. And if our pronoun is in plural form, like you, we, they, and I, they are plural in form, we need to make our verb without S. Like you buy, we read, I think, they come. An activity. So if I have in here a verb sing, how are you going to make this verb in a present tense or simple present tense if I have these subjects? Okay. You can have a paper, then try to answer. If we have they is plural in form, what will be our verb in present tense? Is it sing or sings? It is sing. Very good. So they sing. Why did we use sing? It's because based on the rule, if your subject is plural, the verb must not have an S. So friends is plural, so what will be your verb? Is it with S also or without S? Without S, because friends is plural because it has S. Pag may S ang ating mga noun, if you remember, that is considered plural in form. So ang ating verb dapat ay walang S. Okay? So if mayor only one, it don't have S kasi if it's plural, it's mayors. But it says only mayor. What will be your verb? Is it sings or sang? Now you need to put an S because based on our rule, if our noun or subject is singular, then our verb must have an S. Then I is plural in form, so that's why if our subject is plural, ang ating verb ay walang S. John is singular, only one, isa lang si John, so therefore the verb must have an S. You and I is plural in form because if you will count you, that's one, and I, that's two, already considered as plural, then ang inyong verb dapat ay walang S. Then children, is it singular or plural? Yeah, it's plural. It's because the singular form of children is child. So when we say children, it means they are many. There are more than two. So therefore, our verb sing will remain sing. Because if our subject is plural, our verb must not have an S. Try to have this 6 zero conditional sentences. Please choose within these two verb is a correct present tense of the verb in our subject. So you can pause this video for you to answer it first, and then when you're done, you can play this. Okay, so I think you already know what are the answers. So let me show you what's the answer. If you is plural, so there must be no S. It is singular, so there must be an S. It is singular, it rains. Grass is singular, grass gets. You is plural, so there will be no S. You freeze. It is singular, so there must be an S. It becomes. Plants is plural, so the verb must not have an S. Plants die. They is plural. If that is the case between do and does, or do not, or doesn't, for plural subject, we will use do. They do or they do not. Kapag singular yan, like he, she, or any noun that is walang S, doesn't ang pwede natin gamitin. If my husband in here is singular, therefore you use has. I is the subject in here, not usually, because usually in here is considered as adverb. I is the subject, therefore I is plural in form, then we must use coach without S. If public transport is singular, wala siyang S, so ang ating verb ay are. People is plural in form because the singular form of this is person, so the verb must not have an S stop. Okay? I hope you got it all correct. Remember that present real conditional is the most basic kind of conditional. Basically, when A happens, B will happen as well. Just like this one. If it rains, water pours. We all know that if there is a rain, there's a water. Right? So, pag nangyari si A, mangyayari din si B. Or kapag may water, there is rain. It deals with the habits. It could be habitual, just like the example for the babies, right? Habitual na baby ay ganun ng action. It is general truth. It could be based on science, 100% it's real. And then it could be a general truth example. It could be by law because all that was written in law is correct, okay? Write a sentence on a zero conditional. So I hope you can write your own sentence in zero conditional, just like in here. You can pause this video for a while for you to write your sentences. Okay, so some examples are if it rains, water pours. Always remember that the sentence when A happens, B happens. If you place it in the fridge, the water freezes. So it talks about the general truth. wherein any water put in a refrigerator, it's real, it's true that it will freeze. And the sentence, when you pray, God listens, of course, it is a general truth. It is a law based from our Bible, based from our God. Diba? You can see it there. So also remember the present tense of the verb. If it's singular, there is S. Singular, there is S. Right? But then if it's plural, like you, without S. Let's talk about the second type, which is what we call the first conditional. It is used in dealing with things that are possibly or likely to happen in the future. The structure is if or when clause use the present simple tense of the verb, just like what we use in zero conditional. Will, and for the main clause or the result clause, it's will plus infinitive for the condition or the main clause, or we all know also as will and base form of the verb. If you will use that, you will call it future tense of the verb. Okay, for example, here's the first sentence. If you don't pass the test, I'll hire a tutor for you. Or, in other words, it's also read as if you do not pass the test, I will hire a tutor for you. So the two clauses in here, or the if clause, is from this word if you don't pass the test, that's the if clause. And the main clause is I'll hire a tutor for you. Let us check if it follows the correct tense of the verb. Is the if clause in here follow the present simple tense? Let us see. So in here, our subject is you and our verb is don't or do not. Okay, so is it correct that we use do in here? Yes, it is correct because we use do if our verb is plural in form. Okay, the you in here is plural in form. However, let us check our main clause or the result. It says that I will hire a tutor for you and I'll hire a tutor for you. Is this main clause follow the future tense of the verb? Yes, it is. The use of I'll hire, or from the shinorten lang kasi yan eh, but in reality it is I will hire. The verb will hire, it signifies that this clause follows the future tense of the verb. Another, the students will get a scholarship if he passes the interview. Try to look at this sentence. Two clauses interchange the position. The if clauses in here was now at the back, and then the main clause was now in the beginning. But then, even though they interchange, the tenses of the verb must not interchange. The student will get a scholarship. So, in here, let us see if this main clause have the future tense of the verb. What is the verb in here? Will, get. So since it has will and base form get, we can say that it follow the future tense of the verb for the main clause. Ganun lang po yung future tense. Will and base form like will get, will study, will sing, will record, will decide, will play. When we say base form, there is no any a word we can add like ed, es. There's no word like that. Just the will and the base form. And then let us have the if clause. If he passes the interview, it says that our if clause must be follow the present tense of the verb. Let us see the verb in here. The verb is passes. Is passes under the present simple tense of the verb? Yes, because it has s. It's because we need to put s because our subject he is singular in form. Therefore, the sentence is correct. Another, let us try to analyze if the sentence is possibly or likely to happen in the future, or sa Filipino, may posibilidad na mangyari talaga siya sa hinaharap. If you don't pass the test, I will hire a tutor. So meaning to say, pag hindi ka pumasa sa test, kukuha ako ng tutor. Okay? So this sentence is not the same with zero conditional na it is real, factual, nasa batas or habitual, no? Hindi ganon yung purpose ng sentence na ito. But there is a possibility that it will just happen. So kapag ang ating sentence ay may posibilidad na mangyari sa future, like pagkuha ng tutor, therefore this sentence can be considered in first conditional sentence. The student will get a scholarship if he passes the interview. So the result, the student will get a scholarship, it's still possibly to happen or pwedeng mangyari kung papasa siya sa interview. Right? Okay, that's why it is first conditional. When I'm done with this, I'll get my car to fetch you. So, I can be able to fetch you or sa Pilipino, masusundo kita kung matatapos ko to. So, it means to say that it will just possibly happen. Meaning to say, kung hindi niya natapos, pwedeng hindi ka niya masundo. Unlike the first conditional, talagang general truth yun. Diba? Ano yung result? Halimbawa, when babies cry, they hungry. So, meaning to say, pag umiyak talaga yung baby, possibly, totoo talaga na gutom yun. Hindi kagaya dito na kung hindi pa mangyayari yung isa, possibly na hindi mangyayari yung result. So, there is just a possibility or likely to happen in the future if your sentence is in first conditional. Just to give you a focus regarding about the first conditional, remember that our if clause and when clause is always in simple present tense. The use of s and es if the subject is singular, and the use of is. But we will use are and have or without s if our subject is plural. So if you is plural, so that's why we use are as a verb. Quarry is singular and she is singular. Bakit singular yung quarry? Kasi wala naman siyang s eh. So the verb must have an S. And then she is singular, so the verb has S. For the result or for the main clause, okay, it must be in the future tense or the will plus base form of the verb. Just like this, will and then base form be. Will and then base form be. Will and then base form pass. Wala pong mga itinagtag pa na ibang word. So, I wanted you to analyze for the number one, if we have in here parent, how are you going to make this verb dance in future tense? Absolutely. The answer is will dance. How about for drivers? Will dance. And actually, we will make it all forward. All the answers are just put a will and then dance. Because that is the form of a future tense. So, hindi siya mahirap. Mas madali siya because you just need to put the will and the base form of it. It doesn't matter if your subject is singular like parent, vendor, and he. It doesn't matter. Or if your subject is plural like drivers or doctors kasi may S sila, it doesn't matter in future tense. You just need to add will and then the base form of it. And then yung base form mo, condense, dense lang talaga. Have this activity. So, in any paper, maybe in your notebook, you need to um, write the correct verb, the correct form of the verb on the first conditional sentences. So remember, if we are in the if clause, just like in number 1, 2, 3, nauna si if. But look at 4 and 5, the if clause is at the back. If it's an if clause, we need to present tense of the verb. And then if it's main clause naman, yung isang clause, it is future tense. So you can stop this video if you wanted to answer this. Okay, so now let us reveal what's the answer. So if she blank me, so the verb is invite, how are we going to make this in present tense? Because this is if clause. Let us look at the noun. Or let us look at the subject. The subject in here is pronoun she, that's singular. So therefore, if it's singular, we need to put an S. Okay? And then in here, future tense. If it's future tense, you just need to put will and then the base form of the verb go. And then in here, if it's singular, to follow the present tense, singular it, ang verb may S. And then in here, we will just make it in future tense. Paano yon? We just need to write will, and then add the base form. Kung ano yung nandito na given, cancel. Okay? Next, if we have in here, subject I is plural in form. So therefore, dapat ang verb ay walang S. So if I get an extra money, I blank cell phone. Okay, so ang given na verb ay buy. How are we going to make it in future tense? So we will make will, add po natin will, and then buy. So number 4, we go without her. So present tense tayo. We is plural in form, madami siya. So hindi natin lalagyan ng S ang verb. So we go. In here, oh, I'm sorry. So let me, So in here po pala ay nauna na ang ating main clause. This is what I'm telling a while ago. We need to be careful. So in here, this is the main clause. We need to be on the future tense. So we will go. And then in here, ang ating if clause, dito tayo mag-present tense of the verb. She is singular, so our verb will become slips with an S. Kasi bakit? Singular yung ating subject. Dapat ang verb may S. I blank through you. So, ito ang ating main clause. Gagamitin natin ay future tense. So, we will go. So, if you, it's our if clause. So, it will be present tense. You is plural. So, pag plural ang ating subject, ang ating verb ay walang S. If you shout. Okay. So, I hope I am clear with this, and I hope you learn from this. Write your own first conditional sentence. So remember that our conditional sentence must be possibly or likely to happen. The thought of your sentence. There is just a possibility that it will happen in the future. And then there must be a simple present tense in our if clause and then future tense in our main clause. Just like the example of sentence in here. If she answered the module, I will buy ice cream. If I finish answering this, I will wash clothes. She will buy Jollibee if she goes out. This is first conditional because it's just likely to happen. Na if ma-answer mo yung module, bibili ako ice cream. So, paano mangyayari itong pagbili ko ng ice cream? Kung ma-answer mo yung module. Pwedeng mangyari in the future. Pero kung hindi ma-answer, of course, hindi mangyayari in the future yung pagbili ng ice cream. Yun yung ibig sabihin ng possibly or likely to happen. And another, simple present tense in our if clause. If I finish, I is plural in form, kaya si verb walang S and ES kasi simple present tense tayo. And then future tense, yung paggamit ng will and base form na verb, will wash. Between zero and first conditional, zero conditional use present tense of the verb in the both clauses. However, in first conditional, simple present tense of the verb and future tense of the verb. Okay? And then, zero conditional deals with the general truth. It's 100% real. It could be based on law or scientifically. It is habitual. And then we can say that when A happens, B happens as well. But then in first conditional, it's just only possibly or likely to happen. So I hope you learned a lot today. Thank you so much for listening with me. Thank you so much for your 37 minutes of understanding what is conditional and zero and first conditional. Thank you so much and keep safe and happy studying. Once again, I'm Ma'am Maybell. Bye!